positive things about you making a decision. See, don't dwell on the past. You find out quicker. Pick a side and go. Right? You find out quicker. And like I said last week or the week before, when you make a decision, and if it's the wrong decision, if you made it early enough, there's a high possibility for you to come back and go the other route that you were contemplating on going. Right? If you make the decision early enough, right? But if you truly believe in the decision that you're making, if you have faith, if you're a believer and you're willing to contribute your all, right? If you're going real estate and you want to invest, but you're half stepping, hoping that, man, I should have got into crypto, or no, I'm not really, then you're not giving in your all, right? That's why we say, what's the quote? What's the first topic?
You are exactly where you need to be.
You are exactly where you need to be. So unless you've committed your full responsibility, dedication, your time and effort, right? You cannot complain about the results that you're getting. Right? So just pick a side and go and give it your all. Enjoy the moment. The experience is what is called life. You learn from it. Some people that are in real estate are never touching NFT. Right? I hear Cardone, he's not a big fan of NFT. Right? Gary V, not a big fan of real estate, big fan of NFTs. Right? So it's all about you decide, right? We're not all the same individuals. Stop wanting to be like everybody else. All right? It's okay to separate yourself from the herd. It's okay, right? Nobody likes to be in the out group, right? You feel left out, right? But in most cases, you're gonna feel left out in every kind of topic, in every kind of situation, right? And more than ever, we could talk about race, gender, all these things, right? There's always gonna be an in group, there's always gonna be an out group. But if you constantly live in fear and wanting to fit in, no matter what decision you make, it's always going to be the wrong one. If you're constantly contemplating on the decision that you make and what it is that you need to do, I tell you what, no matter what decision that you make, you're always going to feel left out.
And what's so crazy about this is I feel like the other day I went into the bank to go handle something, and a lot of people who have their money in their accounts, they're even talking about how, like, in the next decade, if you were to save about like $20,000, or like, let's say you were to save $53,000 in the next decade, it will actually be worth $27,000 due to inflation. And I feel like with everything going on with NFTs, with cryptocurrency, with real estate, it's finally letting people know, even the word cash flow. And like, I never knew these things until I started talking to you, but people are starting to understand that we're in a society right now where your money has to make money for you.
Yeah,
you have to
more
be
than
okay.
ever.
Exactly. You have to be okay with understanding, okay, let me find some multiple streams of income. Like, it's one of those where we know, like, one stream of income is just not enough right now in society.
100%.
And it's there's no question, there's no debate, because you need to be able to have money to play with, deal with your bills, handle yourself, put money away for if anything was to go wrong.
And guys, it's tough. And I say this all the time. Like, people may say he's a capitalist and he's a big believer. I'm not saying we all make enough money for ourselves, right? It's about upkeep, right? What do we do with the funds? What do we do with the money, right? How you contribute your time? And I'm gonna say this. There's nothing wrong if you like the finer things in life, right? But the finer things are not given to those people who don't put in that work. Please understand that. Right? If you want to live a lifestyle that requires a high maintenance and it requires an expensive lifestyle, well, are you willing to commit yourself to live that lifestyle? Right? And if you want to live modestly, however it is that you choose to live your life, understand there's a paid price to action. Right? I don't judge people, right? I don't care what it is that you do, right? But if you're waking up complaining about what it is that you constantly find yourself doing you're not happy with just to live this lifestyle, that's not what I'm not a fan of. Right? That's not what if you're waking up complaining about your job, but you can't quit because you have to keep making the payments on the car. Well, it's not about your job. I say get rid of that car. Let's see how fast you come out of that job when that is really the car that has you hostage. It's not your workplace, because you cannot quit because you have to continuously make that payment on that car, right? But what are you willing to pay? Pay price to action.
And you don't want to be that person where it's too late after a decision. That's what I realize now. I learned a big lesson this year where it's like, you need to think about the future ahead of time. What if things were to go wrong? Sometimes I feel like we don't think about, like,
calculated risk, plan out, see what it is. Don't waste too much time on negativity, right? Because your mind will always play the negative side, right? Like I said, when you make a decision, your mind will psych you out and tell you all the good things and all the negative things of the things that you didn't want to do. Right? But you got to calculate it. You got to see yourself in the future before anybody else sees it. Don't let anybody or any circumstance change who you are. Who you want to be tomorrow is all up to you. It's all up to the decisions that you make today.
And it's 11:11 right now, so I want to get into our affirmation. If you're just joining us right now at 11:11, we make sure we say our affirmation. We don't make no wishes. We take that out of our vocabulary. And our affirmation today is, I am able to adapt to many situations throughout each day. When outside forces alter my plans, rather than choosing to feel frustrated or angry, I accept the change and consider alternative ways to meet my goals, allowing myself a few minutes to consider the change and consider its effects on my day to help me adjust. So I'm going to repeat that one more time. Our affirmation of the day. I am able to adapt to many situations throughout each day. When outside forces alter my plans, rather than choosing to feel frustrated or angry, I accept the change and consider alternative ways to meet my goals, allowing myself a few minutes to consider the change and consider its effects on my day to help me adjust. And I think the one thing that I like about this is it talks about accepting the change, like accepting whatever comes with what it is, instead of looking like, why is this happening to me? Or, swearing and causing a whole storm. You're accepting, okay, this has happened. How do I make this better?
Yep. Like I said, life is hard already as is, right? You don't need external factors. You definitely don't need internal factors, right? Don't make the load in your back more heavier than it is, right? And if you're able to and if you've done that to yourself mentally, the load is much heavier than it is, right? You got to start separating from you got to start separating what happens to you from who you are, right? I'm gonna say it again. You got to start separating from what happens to you from who you are. Right, that's not you. Just because the circumstance, situation happened doesn't define who you are, right? And if you're gonna add to it, and if your mind is gonna say all the things, and you deserve it, and this always happens to people like me, well, once you start thinking about it, you start to see it, you start to create it. That's the exact same thing, right? Manifestation is people use it in the negative quotation, the negative term. Right, you can manifest great things, and you can manifest your life into terrible more situation, making things worse than it is.
And I want to bring this topic that Monique put up in the live, where she said risk versus reward. We all have hobbies and interests that we spend money on. So why don't we take a percentage and put it towards investing, whether it's small? Yep. And I think we need to start understanding and realizing that it's very important to understand where our money goes.
Yeah, you got to know where it all goes, right? You got to know where it all goes, right? To free yourself starts with investing today, right? It doesn't necessarily mean investing in banks, investing in real estate. It's just investing in yourself, like we are talking about earlier. Like, did you take time to invest in any type of AI technology, understanding how social media works? If it is like, now you don't need a store, you don't need a storefront, right? These are all parts of investment, right? Just learning, right? Just upgrading yourself. It's all part of investment in yourself for a better future. And then later in life, you can make any kind of decisions you want, right? Without being hostage by the items or the materialistic things that you do have in your life. I'm a strong believer that no materialistic item should hold anyone or me a hostage, right? Feel free. You got to decide, either you or the car. Somebody got to go. And at some point, if you're fighting it, it'll cost more. Pay the price now. It'll cost much, much more later.
And I mean, that in itself speaks for itself, that, the decisions we make today will it's like what you talked about, where it says you reap what you sow. The decisions you make today is what's gonna alter what your future is gonna have in store with whatever you want in life. So we need to understand, like, it's so funny, they talk about, people that just love buying Tim Hortons or Starbucks. Like, when you realize how much, when it adds up to a month, it really adds up. And and I'm glad that some of the banks do this now, where they let you know, like, your my spend, where you can actually take in how much you spend a month, and it'll be shocking to you.
Mindset. I just want to touch on this because like, people look at it on the surface as, well, if I save all my money a year for coffee, that's not gonna buy me a house. True, right? If you look at it, playing out on the surface for what it is, but it's the mindset. It's about creating, right? We all have some sort of addiction, right? Once you start programming your mind into believing in something greater than you, and if it means sacrificing what you love most, right, which might be the coffee every morning, which might be the pair of shoes that you buy once a month, right, and you feel the need to deserve it, but that's not what life is about. I heard this before, save the dollar that you used to buy a can of pop and buy yourself wine at the end of the month, right? Save yourself and get something valuable. right? Don't just get the cheap things. We get the cheap things every day. Save your canned money to be able to buy a bottle of wine at the end of the month, right? And once again, not literal, right? I'm not saying save your money for the end of the month and buy something every month.
Ladies will love this one.
Literally. But right, rather than spend your dollar every day on a can of Coke, how about you save that dollar for the next 2 months and buy yourself wine? Get the expensive taste of life, right? Enjoy life in itself. That's what it's about, right? You're not happy with the things that you're constantly getting into. You want the luxury things. Sacrifice now, right? Those things, and we talk about those things are harmful, right? So save your canned money for wine. That's the take home for today.
So that's here, and shout out to our guys. We're back on YouTube as well too. I know
Yes,
we said
we're back
we had
on YouTube Live, bro.
some difficulties, but we are on YouTube Live. So to our people who are coming back on, I see you guys click. I see them in the comments. Shout out to you guys. Feel free to head there. We have this here. That's why I try my best to look at the camera that's on YouTube and not really focus here, because we are adapting to the change which we're doing, which is YouTube Live. So if you're there, come in, click the like button. Make sure you subscribe though. Don't just hop in there and watch it because we're live right now. Subscribe so that you can get all our notifications. You know when our next episodes are. We take a lot of gems that we talk about in the actual conversation and put it out there as well too. So make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube and feel free to watch it because it's easier when you're. I know a lot of people said they're working from home. It's easier for you to just have it on the TV or have it on your screen and just listening and taking notes, and then you'll be able to watch it over so you can take notes if in case you're working. Our next topic though, that was really good though. You are where you need to be.
You are where you need to be.
I love that one right there.
Invest in yourself, invest in your future, any little, any way, right? Don't worry about what the rates, and when you're doing investment, I always talk about percentages. Don't worry about amount, percentages, right? I'm more fascinated by the person who saved 90%, 80% than the person who said I saved $90. Well, you made $1,000, right? That's 9%, right? Percentage. Don't worry about what you have. Believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's one of my big goals for 2022. I'm trying to make sure I save a lot of my cash flow and not spend it. That's
it's so easy. Like I'm saying, it's so easy. You don't see the bigger picture, right? You don't see the bigger picture. All you see is today. Well, this is not going to make an effect on me today, but start believing in yourself. Start believing in the bigger picture, compound interest. Because when we start look back, when we calculate, damn, I wish I didn't spend that money. All that money I spent on this, it adds up in the end, right? It adds up in the end. So start believing in yourself, right? At the very beginning, your belief system controls the next step that you take.
Okay, they want us to post the link of our YouTube in the comments. Give me 1 second. I'll get that up. Perfect. Let me put that up into our, here we go.
Shout out to YouTube family. We apologized earlier. I believe we'll have the whole audio on and podcast on all platforms.
There we go. Let me put it up right here. It's not allowing me to copy and paste it. Hold on, maybe we'll be able. Give me 1 second, but we're gonna get ready for our next topic, which we have 2 more after that.
You'll be able to just go on our page, click on our link tree, and you'll have access to our YouTube channel.
Yeah. So there we go. I put it there, but yes, just like you said, make sure you click if you click the link in our bio, right away it'll give you access to our YouTube channel, and then you can subscribe from there, and then you're good to go. Our next topic is making your dreams a priority. We talked about it a little bit in the beginning where we all have dreams. I feel like we all have, like our mind, we're always speaking to ourselves.
We all have dreams. We all have dreams no matter how big, no matter how small. We are dreamers, right? But it's about doers, right? We all have dreams. Making our dreams a priority. If it came to you, it's possible. It's possible. It's not imagination. It starts with imagination. Imagination, right? Faith is the ability to see things that don't yet exist. It's imagination. It's the dream, right? You got to see it before it happens. But we talk about prioritizing it, is what we mean is, does it have a meaning to you, right? Does it have a meaning to what it is that you do today? Stop putting it on the back burner. It's your dream, right? Don't live other people's dream. Don't help other people. You have a dream yourself, right? You wake up every single morning, right? Helping somebody else's dream grow. Like your dream is not important, right? Your dream to yourself. You're more important than anybody else. I'll tell you that, right? You're more important than anybody else. Self-interest is okay, not selfish. I'm going to say that again. Self-interest is okay, but not selfish, right? Live out your dream. Prioritize your dream, right? Don't wake up worried about what you have to do for your boss. Worry about what you have to do for yourself, right? That's what you should wake up dreading. That's what you should spend most of your time with, right? Because we commit ourselves to other people's dreams, which is another side effects of why we end up in places that we don't want to be. So when we do have any little free time, we feel we gotta get our dopamine, right? We gotta get our high on, right? What any kind of addiction that we may have, never ever contributing to what it is that we want. But the person that you're committing, you're helping them build their dreams. That was part of their dreams, to have somebody else commit to their dreams. You're living out their dreams for them, right?
And they always talk about that, you know, even if you work a 9, it's so crazy. I seen a post the other day where it talks about how many hours there is in a day, which is 12 hours.
Yep.
And if you were to really, like, if you were to analyze that, you know, you give your job 8 hours out of the day, you would, like, you know, if you really think about it.
Yeah, you give more actually. Commuting back and forth,
oh, wow.
right? Commuting back and forth, the time that you spent in traffic, whatever it is, the kind of job that you do in some work, we leave work with it, right? Answering emails, things like that, you know? So kudos to the pandemic for making people get to work at home and be able to work on other parts of their dreams. There was a time where people were working 3-4 jobs at home because it's possible. But it's possible, probability exists for us to work on the things that we know we need to work on. But yes, you commit yourself to somebody else if you don't commit yourself to yourself, right? You owe it to yourself. It's either you're working on your dreams or you're working on somebody else's dream.
Facto. And, you know, don't just go give 8 hours to somebody else and then you can't give yourself at least 1 hour towards your dreams or to what you really want to be, because it all takes that dedication. Everything is dedication. If you're really dedicated to it, consistent, and you know, like, you hold yourself accountable to the things that you do, then you'll be able to see, you know, some kind of, because some people just, I heard this before where someone was like, yo, I want to better myself, but work is just taking all of me and I need to work. And I was like, yo, it's not even, what you just said right now is the problem.
There's no need, right? There's no need. Your wants and need, balance it out, right? You got to make that sacrifice. We live in this generation where we are trying to fit in where you're cool. It's all right to pay that price for the bigger price later, right? If it's because you're paying for your 1-bedroom condo, $1,900, you cannot, well, find a roommate. Right? Pay $800. That's $1,000 you could save to work towards your dreams, right? It may not be cool, oh, you live with somebody or moving back in with your parents. It may not be cool, whatever. People might judge me. But your dream 10, 20 years down the line, people are going to be lining up for answers, right? We got to make that cool. That's what we talk about, making the uncool cool. Some of these things that we feel that we need to do is hurting us, right? It's temporary high, but we're suffering internally. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, ladies and gentlemen, right? And it's other people's approval, right? Social media is great. It's giving us a platform to speak to others, but more than ever, it's hurting us because it's a highlight reel where we feel left out. We're not part of the in-group, where if you wear something that's not fashionably in style, you're considered broke, and we're always worried about people judging us, right? The minute you can separate yourself from that, you're winning. You control the crowd. You control the crowd. Right, making the uncool cool. I know mainly people it's a battle internally, right? So we want to speak on these things, right, before it gets out of hand, right? That's the rat race. That's the cycle most of us try to escape.
And you control your destiny. You literally control everything. Everything literally starts with you. And that's why, you know, you always hear a lot of people talking about when you look into the mirror, who do you see? That's the person that you want to be better than. There's nobody else that you're in competition. There is no competition, literally. Your only competition should be yourself.
The fulfillment of your dream is directly proportional to the desire to succeed and how much are you willing to sacrifice. Your dream is not going to be handed to you. Your dream is not going to be handed to you. If it was easy, you would have had it by now. It's going to take work, right? Stop running from what it is that you need to face. Turn around and face it. That's where your life is at. That's where the true joy is at. Turn around and face what it is that you're running from. I say it again, the fulfillment of your dream is directly proportional to your desire to succeed. And how much are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice your weekend? Are you willing to sacrifice the time that you spend with your friends, right? Some of your dreams, some of the things that you guys have could be the breakthrough to help the whole family, could be the answers for you and your friends, for you guys to spend your 2-3 weeks, a month on vacation together. Right? But it starts with giving up my Saturdays, right? Are you willing to give up a few Saturdays to have a month of vacation if that's what it is that you want? Right? Are you willing to give out the Friday nights drinking out at the bar, right? For you to have the long-term vacation, for you to have that family home that we all wish that Thanksgiving dinner happens at my house and the whole family come. I want to be that rich uncle, I want to be that rich aunt, right? Pay price for action. What are you willing to sacrifice? right? It's not gonna magically come. Right, it's not gonna magically come. Stop looking at places for answers that is not there. Right, turn around and face what it is that you're running from. That's where the answer is at. And people always say, "I'm looking for the sign." Well, this is your sign. This is your sign. This is your sign.
Put it out there, ladies and gentlemen.
This is your sign, right? Turn around and face what it is that you're running from.
And yes, shout out to our kings and queens who are active in here as well too. If you're just joining us, we were having a conversation earlier about the importance of knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Right now, we're talking about making your dreams a priority. Now, there's one thing that we talked about before, and it's I think Eric Thomas, you also talked about it, is where when you are able to fulfill your dream, and then, like, for instance, like an injury happens or car accident or something comes and deters that dream, how do you still take the joy from when it happened to now you're in a situation and you still need to continue, but you may be mad at the situation that happened or upset that this happened, like, why me? How do you still stay on a positive note when the world is throwing these stones or things that are coming to affect you that, you know, you're used to something and now it's taken away?
Well, you've been there before. You've been there before, right? It's just temporary inconvenience, right? It doesn't define who you are. It's temporary inconvenience. It doesn't define who you are. Don't come up with a permanent solution for a temporary problem, right? Like I just said, don't let a circumstance or situation define who you are. You define those circumstances, your actions. What happens to us happens to just about everybody, right? What we do about it is what separates us from the rest, right? So you might go through a hardship in a situation. It doesn't end there. Right, there's a comeback story. It's another fuel. It's the energy, right? It's to add it. It's ammo to your ammunition, right? You're coming out stronger than ever, right? It's another reason for you to celebrate, have a bigger parade, right? That's what life is about. It's this essence of life where we just want to do the bare minimum and just lay on the beach all day, and that's not life, right? I'm pretty sure we all been like that. If you ever been on vacation, after a while, how long are you sick of it? 4 or 5 days, a month, you want to get back, you know? We want the experience, right? Can we experience joy without sadness? Can we experience darkness without light? Right? Welcome all experience, right? That's what life is about. So when you go through these moments, is what makes you feel that you're real, you exist, right? You're not invincible, right? It's a pinch of life. Wake up, right? You're dreaming, right? Wake up. That's what that is, right? Be alert, right? So welcome all experience. When you go through hardship, don't let that situation define who you are. I cannot express that enough, right? It's a temporary inconvenience. Don't come up with a permanent solution. Don't say you're gonna give up on this because this happened, right? It's possible, right? You can make something out of it. It could be a path for something else.
And I didn't even realize, shout out to our Work Hard, Play Hard. I got the sweater on right over here. Shout out to Kiki. They're actually getting ready for their Christmas Malton give back. So if you're in the Malton area or grew up in there, make sure that you click in with Work Hard, Play Hard. And there's a question here. Do you guys believe there is a difference between struggle and sacrifice?
Yes, there's a difference. Well, sacrifice is what you give, right? Struggle is what you go through. That's how I look at it. Struggle is what you go through. Sacrifice
I'm
is
actually
what you
really
give.
good at this. I gotta give you props today. He did that
Let's
one.
go.
It's neat, just quick and fast.
Sacrifice is what you give up, what you're willing to give up. Struggle is what you go through, right? So if you're going through a struggle, right, it's like, what are you giving up to escape this struggle? Right, we all go through obstacles, right? All our struggles are different. I'm never gonna say your struggle is hard. I'm not, often on this platform we talk about females. I don't know, I know what they go through, so you never hear me speak. I apologize, ladies, or anybody else, right? But everybody's struggle is different, right? Maybe you might be dealing with the burden of a child, right? Somebody might be dealing with the burden of being responsible for their parents, right? They may be responsible. There's so many additional pressures, right? So I don't know what anybody else has struggled, but a sacrifice is the pay price to actions, right? When I talk about get the knowledge, get the information, right? You sacrifice something. There's a pay price to action. You got to give up something to get something. You cannot have it all. If you can you tell me why you haven't had it yet? Right? If you could have it all, why is it that you haven't had what it is that you're looking for yet? Because it takes more. There's something that you got to give. And it's not necessarily monetary. It doesn't mean you have to give up money. Sometimes it requires time, energy, right? You want to work on your relationships, right? The sacrifice may be working less, spending more time with your significant other. right? You want to build a better relationship with your children. That requires maybe not accepting those extra hours on weekends, right? That's the kind of sacrifice that we're talking about. It doesn't always have to be monetary. And be disciplined, right? Because sometimes you're not always going to get the results. And you're like, why am I paying this price, right? And somebody will come along the way and get your results much faster, right? And you think life is not fair. Life is not on your side. The world is not designed for you. I strongly do tell everybody, believe that this world is yours and everything in it plays in your favor. It's a mindset manifester, right? But don't let it dilute you. You got to take action. Doesn't mean I'm just going to sit there and cross my fingers, close my eyes, and wish for all the best. It's a pay price of action. Are you willing to do what it is that you know that you want to get what it is that you want?
And she asks as well, but is struggle necessary to succeed?
You know, adversity introduces one to self. You know, most success stories come from people going through struggles, right? You know, when we talked about, people having resources, it's kind of like one of the things I'm discovering now where it's kind of like most successful people are self-made because the struggles that they've been through, the adversity that they experienced, made them build that condition. Remember when I talked about darkness and light? It's like, if you had everything given to you, how do you know this is where you need to be? You don't know the other side of the bridge, right? You got to go see the other side of the bridge. So struggle does shape you, right? You're able to deal with certain traumas, and you will deal with traumas. To what extent, right? I don't know. When we talk about the mind, it's like, as far as mental health, what tends to happen is that something constantly happen to you, like whatever it is, and it's like a balloon. At some point, the pressure opens up on one point. We don't know exactly what it is. Whatever it is, it could be your work stress that could make you blow up. Like, somebody's having a regular day and you just say, yo, why you always staying? They just blow up. Like, that could be it. Like, that part of them, right? So that struggle could make you, don't make it break you, right?
And I like this conversation, though, because everyone's getting involved in it. And she added to
adversity breeds character, yes.
I just feel like
don't let it break you. And that's what I'm saying. You need that struggle. You need the other side, right? Most people who end up being successful came from hardship situations. They know how to deal with it, right? And sometimes we forget. People are like, oh, you can't deal with that. Oh, that's what you're stressed about. Everybody's struggle is different. Somebody who's been spoon-fed, right? Who live on the other side of the fence may never know what it feels like to go without a meal. Right? It's easier for some people to maybe share or rant because they've been probably sharing with their siblings, right? But somebody who now have to go figure it out and create a business might need to go find somebody to rant with, but their whole life they had their own bedroom and never had siblings. It might be difficult for them. They can't see themselves do that. So you got to welcome these struggles, right? And
everybody's struggles is different too.
When it comes to struggle, it's called useful neglect, right? It's neglect that could be useful.
And I mean, Danielle, she added on, she's like, I just feel like in our community, we need to get away from the idea of you need to struggle to succeed. I believe you need to sacrifice, but we are all doing certain things right now so our kids' families will not struggle.
Yeah, exactly. You see, that's what I'm saying. Struggle is where you go through, sacrifice is where you give up. Even if your life is working out for you, you may not be struggling, you still need to sacrifice something to get where it is that you want to go. You want to further your last name. You want to give your siblings, put them in a better position that you were in.
Facts. And I mean, when it comes to the idea of like, if you don't make your dreams a priority and you put it on the bench, then there's going to be certain consequences. There's going to be certain things that come with it. So you can't have the mindset of wanting to finer things in life, or I want to be able to do this, do that, which is going to require these actions, and not putting that action behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Like, in those hours when nobody is looking, because that's where it matters the most.
Who you are is what you do when nobody else is looking. That's why I encourage people to have that mindset when they come on the social media platform, when they're walking outside, right? Who you are is what you do when nobody else is looking. That's your true you, right? And what's more fascinating about all of this is that most of us are aware of this. This is like just kind of like the wake up call, but we're all going through this. Separate yourself. Don't be afraid to stand alone, right? The herd is looking for somebody to follow. If you stand alone, you're the leader. They'll follow you. The herd are looking for somebody to follow. Most people are sheeps, right? And they're following each other. And guess where they're going? To the slaughterhouse.
Don't want to go to the slaughterhouse. Because you know what happens when you get into the slaughterhouse, if you know. And as we're so funny, as we get ready, because we'll be in the motherland in a few, but I'm just laughing because I remember going to Ghana the first time and seeing my cousins just chase the goats and they wanted me to do it. and like, you know, just watching them doing it like so quick, like only the horns could get you. Like that's the only thing. I'm like the only thing, and I'm like, you know, so I'm getting ready to accept that challenge too, because it'll also open my eyes. And now it's so funny when challenges happen, I'm just ready to come out of it and see the person I become and what I learned from it, so it doesn't happen again. So it's
and it's not about what you become in the end, it's who you were in the process. That's the most biggest takeaway, right? It's not how you start, how you end, but who you are in the process. You know, that's the true joy. That's where you learn the skills. Your results are the results. You could probably produce the results that you want in many different ways, but it's who you are in the process of getting those results, right? Is there additional education, right? It's not me purchasing 3 properties, it's not me going back to school, but working on communicating, learning to talk to people, connecting, starting this platform, right? I just wanted a property. How am I starting a podcast on Monday Motivation, right? But it's because I gathered that information. You never know through the process where it may lead you, right? Where you may lead you, right? So it's not about what you get in there, because I did get what I wanted. And I want more, but it's another thing. You know,
there's more coming with it.
You know, and I must say this: as human, the greatest space to be in is to be content with what you have and be ambitious for more. Right? Not that I'm not grateful for everything, but it's part of it. It made me feel a sense of existing, right? And I've been able to do so much through that process, and I want to do more with that process, right? So it's who you become, right? It's not what you get in the end; it's who you become in that process.
And I mean, we're going to get ready for our last topic. If you're just joining us, our first topic today was you are exactly where you need to be. I suggest that everybody, if you're just joining us, when you get the chance on your streaming platforms, or go watch it on the YouTube when this is done, or even on our page. Then we talked about making your dreams a priority. So let's prioritize the things that are important, that are going to help us in the future to do everything that, you know, we wanted to be done for our kids, for ourselves, for our families, and generations to come. And now our next one is raising our standards. I feel like this one is big, because you can dwell in whatever life that you are living right now, but in order for change, you need to raise your standards. There's things that you're gonna have to cut off. There's people that, you know, you may not be able to conversate with no more, but there's things that we need to watch. When it comes to even mentors, the people you're having conversation, the books that you're reading, the knowledge that we're dissecting to even help us deal with what's to come in the future for decades to come, because now we're in a different time right now. So why is it important for us to raise our standards while leveling up, trying to level up?
Well, it's about you. While trying to level up, it's about you raising your standard. You know that you're more than what it is that you're getting. Wherever you are, I may not know you, but I know what you could be more, right? I never encourage anybody you're good just the way that you are. Not that I'm saying you lack something, but I'm saying you could be better, right? You could add additional tool, you could add additional skill set that make you better than who you were yesterday. Because as times change, the world is getting harder. If you stay the same, you end up declining. It's not plateau, you don't stay where it is, right? If you're the same person as who you were yesterday, you're actually declining by default, right? So you got to raise your standard. Right, and I challenge you to raise yourself at a higher standard what anybody else expects of you. Right? It's not what people expect from Max that makes me acting accordingly. I want more for myself than what people want from me. Right? So people come to me and say, "Hey, you have a few properties. I think that's enough. You're doing well in life, or you finished school. Why are you going back?" I expect more out of me, but I put myself in a high pedestal more than what you can. Right? I see myself bigger than what you're seeing now. Right, and that's what I encourage everybody to start seeing themselves as, right? You may be through hardship, and you may people pull you down, and people tend to do that to feel good about themselves, right? Because people know they're naturally declining, right? Like if you stay as you is, as time goes on, by default, you're declining, right? You're not getting stronger. If you say, I haven't acquired no new skills, whatever it is, you cannot control the changing of time, right? The current tides that's coming towards you, right? By default, you're declining. So I challenge you to raise yourself, put yourself at a high standard what anybody else expects from you. And you need to do that, right? Treat yourself, we talked about treating yourself like a Fortune 500 company. Like you're the CEO, you mean something, right? Value, right? You may not, see, we try to look for places of value. You may not matter to where it is that you're looking at, but you matter, right? You have an important role to play in this world. Right? We just often try to fit ourselves in the wrong places. Right, and try to look for value there. You matter. Somebody requires you to be your very best. right? But it's just that sometimes we ask from the wrong places, or we're looking in the wrong places, right? Work on yourself, the things that you're running away from. Work on your dreams. Man, don't let nobody else tell you what your worth is, what it is that you need to do. You believe in something. If you truly believe in it, you act accordingly. So not just raising your standards, not about just saying it, putting it out in the world, manifesting it without not taking actions, right? Dream without action is just a dream. You're better off sleeping, right? So when you talk about value, you can't just be talk. You got to see yourself of value. You got to be able to stand behind what it is, your product, which is you.
And I mean, sometimes I feel like it be trauma and situations that people let, hinder them raising their standards, or they got comfortable in a situation. So how does, and then, it becomes something that you're used to. You don't even feel like you're you no more.
This has kind of been repetitive, but don't let circumstance or situation define who you are. The trauma, so be it, right? If it's not accepted by society, we're not in the business to fit in. Right? People may not see your value there, but you might be the most important thing in a different domain, right? From the bitter's experience, right? If we talk about you and my brother here, talk about our arrest records, right? At some point, society will cast us out as being criminal, and these people are not it. But with that was used to shun upon us, we use that as the platform to speak to the young youth. In that domain, we have value there, right? To talk to the younger people, but this is not the road that you need to go at. So you may go through trauma, you may go through something, but with that, right? We talked about our struggles and sacrifice, but this is what we talk about, right? With that, we use that in a different domain where you have value there, right? The corporate job may not like Max because he's been arrested, right? But the correction officers and the institution wants me to speak to the youth, talk about the experience and help change that. There's value there, right? Stop looking for value in the wrong places.
I love it. Monique, you just made me smile when you wrote that. The only approval we are looking for is from the bank.
That's it. That's the only approval that we're looking for.
And that said by Max, the speaker right there. And I think today's conversation was real good. It was real good from every angle. We kind of brought everything and dissected it all together with what's happening, adapting to the change of the world and where things are going right now. And understanding that as long as you're alive, if you're able to wake up today, you could change any situation and you could put it on a positive note to help our lives get to exactly where we need to be. And it comes with raising our standards. It comes with making our dreams a priority. All these things play a hand in each one of these things that we talked about.
Situations don't define who you were. See the bigger picture. The little that you do have today, save it for something big tomorrow. Right? The little that you do have today, save it for something big that you have tomorrow. You're always trying to keep up with the Joneses, catch up. We see the imposter. You're not comfortable in your skin. There comes a point where you don't need their approval, right? There comes a point where you don't need the approval. Learn to have a mind of your own.
And setting boundaries, yes. And it's been a minute since we had this conversation with I gotta get more involved with our people when it comes to the topics that you guys would like to speak on. I feel like they're helping us too much, and I'm like, nah, I gotta do my due diligence as well too, because you guys.
We love it. We love the questions. This podcast, this platform is from us to you guys, but it's really the information. I'd like to have an open discussion, share my knowledge, share my experience with my brother Ebon. So we always encourage for anybody on the YouTube world, the podcast world, Spotify, Apple Music, follow us at Motivation Monday Live. Right? Send us a DM, send us a specific topic that you want to talk about, whatever it is that you're going through. And yep.
And next week is going to be big because we have a special guest that's going to be coming in as November is the month for men's mental health. So we'll be having Dookie Dukes come in as well too. And we'll be talking more about that with kind of like a whole gist of things, even understanding from a woman's aspect too. So I'm going to get some insight. So I'm going to throw some stuff into our stories that you guys can engage us so we can just have the right conversation for next week. And then we have some couple other things to do within the week. Shout out to my boy Jabs Newbie. He played for Team Jamaica out in the FIBA 3x3 tournament out in Miami. So way to go. He's from Canada. And you know what I loved about him? I'm going to say this. Even though he's Canadian, they had a Canada team, but they reached out to where their roots is from, which is Jamaica. That's my 91 brother. And they were able to compete and rep Jamaica. And they had some big upsets. So shout out to you, shout out to Tavon, shout out to my guys that I grew up with. It's good seeing my people elevate and do things on an international level. and still chasing their dreams. So yeah, shout out to you guys, Team Jamaica, even our guys Alex Johnson from Team Canada, and my goddaughter's father's in there, so happy birthday to Jada. I know we got to shoot and a lot of things to do today, so we got a busy schedule, so happy birthday, Jada. And that wraps up Motivation Mondays, week 84. If you're just joining us right now, please make sure you take in today's episode, whether it's on streaming platforms. It'll be available on Apple, it'll be available on Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you watch your podcast, it'll be available there. And if you want to watch it from the comfort of your home or wherever you are, it's on YouTube Live too. So make sure you guys engage in that. And if you're just joining us, click that follow button, click the link in our bio, and make sure you have
I got to smile. I got some good news in my phone, so hey,
that's always good, man.
It's a Monday. Appreciate the love and support. Likewise, thanks everybody behind the team. Shout out our whole team, Wavy T, Dennis, whole team.
Yes, man. Appreciate you guys to the fullest, and to the people who support us each and every week. But we're signing out. Have a great day. MC Ebo, the voice of the culture.